I do have some more, but I'll let others go.
Rice.
Thanks, Chair. Hello. I'm wanting to talk about the issue of people being removed from the electoral roll because they are of unsound mind. So,
Senator, would you mind if I also call Mr Gately forward, who is my role expert, and he's very well versed in this particular area.
Thank you. So, starting with as to whether you can tell us, or you might need to put it on notice, how many people have been removed from electoral rolls for reasons of unsound mind since the last federal election in 2013?
Andrew Gately, Assistant Commissioner on Roll Management. Senator, we actually provided advice following the last estimates as a question on notice in relation to the number of people that have been removed in the previous 4 years.
I might just read that out.
In broad terms, over the, if you'd like me to go through the 4 years, if that's helpful, I can do that.
Yes, look, I haven't got much time actually, so let's yeah.
So it varies, typically it varies between about 6,000 to about 16,000 depending on the time during the electoral cycle. If it's useful, just to give you an example, for year to date in 2015-16 to the end of January, it's just under 2,700 people.
Okay. And is there any disaggregated data for those removed from the roll for reasons of unsound mind, by age, location, gender, etc.?
I've got disaggregated data here down to the state level. I don't have that split at the moment. It's certainly
take on notice or table that data. And can the Commission define exactly what's meant as being of unsound mind? And for what medical reasons were those of unsound mind removed from the roll?
The element of the Act talks about an elector being unable to understand the significance of enrolling and voting by reason of being unsound mind. In practice, we require a medical certificate from a medical practitioner to make that assertion, support that action. So AEC staff do not interpret the concept of unsound mind from an elector perspective.
So there's no data as to what that means. I understand the form. I've got the form in front of me. Just basically requires a signature of a medical practitioner and tick the box.
Normally, Senator, and Mr Gately might correct me, this might occur through an application from a family member who will contact the AEC about a relative. But for us to take action, that would mean that assertion would need to be accompanied by a medical certificate signed by a practitioner. And I think once we get that certificate, that's as far as the AEC would go.
Yeah. So there's no data. I've got the certificate here. It's just a declaration from the practitioner to say that they're of the person's of unsound mind.
I would doubt it sincerely, Senator, but I'll check that.
Yeah.
Senator, if it also might assist, the Joint Standing Committee reports dated August 2012 entitled Advisory Report on the Electoral and Referendum Amendment Improving Electoral Procedure Bill 2012. At paragraphs 2.63 and onwards, there's a lengthy discussion about unsound mind. The proposal at that time was to remove it out of the Act, and the Joint Standing Committee recommended against removing it.
Yes, so I'm interested in pursuing that conversation.
Senator, I think we said last time we were here, we've had a lot of feedback from some community groups that we work with that they find the term unsound mind to be highly offensive. But I know the Joint Standing Committee had looked at that previously, and there were reasons that I can't quite remember why that wasn't picked up as a JSCM recommendation, but they do find that term to be highly offensive.
Okay, so the AEC's position at that stage was to remove it, but then
we simply reflected the views of the community groups that we work with, rather than advocating for particular positions.
So in particular, what's the reasoning behind the reverse onus of proof process that operates at the moment? Because people who are claimed to be of unsound mind then have to disprove the accusation rather than it being put to them.
Senator, it's purely the legislation, the way that the legislation is written. So.
Do you know?
Senator, it's also a matter of evidence. So for an unsound mind application to be dealt with by the AEC, we have a medical certificate in front of us. And so it then becomes an issue of evidence. So we have a medical certificate that's been provided to us saying by a medical practitioner this person's of unsound mind, they do not understand the concept of enrolment and voting. And so the issue then becomes, well, how do we address that as a matter of evidence? So we then go back and communicate with the elector, and they will then respond with evidence to the contrary.
Yes.
So it's not strictly a reverse onus of proof, but it's just the evidential process as to how this arises. Because if we don't have a medical certificate, then we don't get to square one.
No, but you don't have any justification behind that medical certificate, which is a pretty basic thing. Is there currently a process for those who don't have a medical condition or disability to prove that they are of sound mind?
Sorry, who don't have...
So are you saying that someone has been declared of unsound mind, but they wish to prove that they are of...
No.
Okay. Look, I'll just finish off because I know we're short of time. And I mean, is there any outreach done by the AEC currently done to assist those with mental health challenges or intellectual disability to enrol and vote?
In the broad, yes, Senator. We work with a disability advisory group which has a broad range of community and interest group representation. We meet at least once a year from memory. I'm looking at Mr Carpe. We listen to their concerns where we can. We adapt our policies and procedures, including the production of clear English guides and a range of other issues. So yes, we do. Do we do enough? I'd always love to do more, but...
Yeah. And finally, is there any data on the number of people who have got intellectual disabilities or mental health problems who are estimated to have never enrolled in the first place?
There will not be that data, Senator, I can guarantee you.
Okay.